Thunder Bay City Council votes to reduce paid parking hours in the city. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Beginning today, local drivers don't have to pay for parking in the early morning or evenings.
City Council made that decision last night, voting unanimously to amend the parking plan that was implemented in June. Vasilios Bellows was at City Hall for the meeting. Vasilios, what does this mean for drivers?
Ryan, basically it means that it decreases the time motorists need to pay for parking by a few hours in the evening and morning, with parking now enforced between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. Local businesses are already celebrating the decision, believing extended parking hours was a deterrent for their customers. City Council rolls back on some of its new parking regulations.
Not going rogue here. I believe that this is truly the collective will of this council.
McKellar Ward Councillor Brian Hamilton got approval on Monday for an amendment to the city's new parking plan. It decreases the hours you need to pay for parking from 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. and 6 p.m., effective immediately.
Our asset management objectives with the needs and desires of businesses and residents. So it's a modest change, I think.
You know, from paid parking where there was none at the marina to paid parking now, to extended hours, to weekends. Maybe it was just a little too much.
Administration will report back to council before 2026 to outline the decision's impact on revenue, though Councillor Mark Bentz wanted to take things one step further.
How important is it to administration that we stick to paid Saturday parking at Marina Park?
While parking at Marina Park is free on Sundays, Bentz wanted to know the impacts of expanding that throughout the weekend. That was ruled out of order, as Hamilton's amendment only focused on the hours of parking enforcement.
It would be nice to see free parking on Saturday.
Waterfront BIA Executive Director Kara Pratt says while a full weekend of free parking at the marina would be beneficial, local businesses are still celebrating the shortened paid hours approved on Monday.
I think we'll actually see a lot more people out walking in the morning, and I think we'll see people coming to our restaurants in the evenings and any retailers that have later shopping hours. We encourage people to come down and support small businesses because they do support the community.
The decision comes as the city's free holiday parking is set to begin on the 16th, running until January 1st. Vasilios Bellows, TBT News.
A big announcement today for the Anishinaabe Police Service. NAPS is now the first legislated Indigenous police service in Ontario. Past and current leaders of Anishinaabe Nation joined provincial representatives in Toronto today to officially opt in to the Community Safety and Policing Act. NAPS is currently funded by a tripartite agreements with the province and Canada through the First Nations and Inuit policing program. NAN has said that program uses unfair terms and conditions to restrict the level of policing that NAPS can offer communities. Today's official signing includes a $514 million investment into the Anishinaabe Police Services Board. That funding will allow NAPS to double the number of officers serving its 34 First Nations. Solicitor General Michael Kersner calls it a historic day for policing in the North.
This is the first time ever that a First Nations police service has opted into provincial policing legislation. This means that the 34 First Nations communities that are served and protected every day by NAPS, including the 25 remote and northern First Nations, from the Manitoba border up to the James Bay coast, over to the Quebec border, have opted in to the provincial policing legislative framework.
And we call on Canada as well to remain at the table, to ensure that the vision that Bentley, former Grand Chief Bentley Chicho and our other leaders had when they created this organization is fulfilled. And that's to ensure that every family in the Anishinaabe Nation lives in a safe home.
NAPS will now benefit from the same standards as municipal police services in Ontario and receive the funding required to meet those standards.
A coroner's inquest is underway this week into the death of an Atikokan man in police custody. 37-year-old Aaron Fisk died on October 18, 2020. He was arrested by Atikokan OPP for breaching conditions of a release order. Officers had to use force after Fisk resisted arrest. He was placed in a holding cell at the time. A few hours later, he fell off the bed semi-conscious and died soon after. Fisk told police he had been drinking, but the post-mortem found he had taken fentanyl and methadone. The officers involved were cleared of any wrongdoing by the SIU. The inquest is being held virtually, and interested parties can watch it on a live stream. The inquest jury will hear from 4 witnesses, and the jury's recommendations are expected to be delivered on Friday.
A Thunder Bay man is charged with child luring and a number of child pornography offenses for allegedly exchanging sexually explicit material online with an underage person in the U.S. 32-year-old Cody Mitchell Locke turned himself into police this morning after police seized electronic devices from a home earlier this year. Locke faces 10 charges in all, including 2 counts of child luring, 3 counts of making child pornography, and indecent exposure. He appeared in court today and was released with conditions.
Porter Airlines celebrated its first flight from Thunder Bay to Pearson International Airport today.
Up until now, local Porter flights have all used the Toronto Island Airport. The new service to Pearson also marks the debut of the airline's newest plane. Justin Hardy has the story.
Porter Airlines flew passengers from Thunder Bay to Pearson International Airport for the very first time, using Porter's new 132-seat Embraer aircraft. The new route will provide a 10% increase in Porter seat capacity each week between Thunder Bay and Toronto. A celebration of the new service took place on Tuesday. Porter Airlines Executive Chair Robert DeLuce says Thunder Bay passengers are used to flying to and from Billy Bishop Airport, but he's sure many will appreciate the new option.
There were those who live a little closer to Pearson, or who are connecting to or from Pearson via Thunder Bay via Pearson, where Pearson works out a little better. So this is a really good step for us, and it's something we'll add to us as we get more aircraft and as people develop the connections that they are looking for.
Porter Airlines has operated in Thunder Bay since 2006 and now offers 5 daily return flights from Billy Bishop. Flights between Thunder Bay and Pearson will initially run on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Graham Ingham, president and CEO of Thunder Bay Airport, says this new service is a good example of Porter continuing to step up and support the Thunder Bay region.
They've steadily grown their business over the years, and that's really important for not only the airport but also for the community as well. And here is just another example of Porter stepping up and providing more service and more variety to those that are traveling in and out of Thunder Bay. So it's a pretty exciting day, and we've been looking forward to this day for a long time.
Ingham says it's hard to say whether this new Porter option will lead to a significant increase in travelers through the local airport. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
The Ford government continues to face blowback for its plan to close a number of safe consumption sites across the province.
The legislation now faces a new legal challenge. CTV's Siobhan Morris explains.
We save lives!
After months of pushback and protest,
there is blood on your hands!
Advocates for supervised consumption sites are turning to the courts.
The so-called Community Care and Recovery Act violates Section 7, 12, and 15 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
That's the bill that prohibits consumption sites within 200 meters of a school or childcare center, forcing the shutdown of 10 across Ontario.
With this court case, we're demanding our right to continue to provide this care and save lives.
Lawyers working pro bono for the operators of the site in Kensington Market say the legislation infringes on the right to life, liberty, and security.
People who use drugs will no longer have access to those services, and as a result, face a dramatically increased risk of death by overdose. They'll be forced to result to unhealthy and unsafe consumption,
putting people like Katie Resendez in danger on a daily basis.
Please be aware of the devastation that will occur when those of us who rely on the sites are unable to access them.
Last week, the Auditor General revealed the government knew cutting consumption sites could lead to more deaths, ER visits, and drug use in public, but that there wasn't a plan to mitigate those risks.
It's really good and hopeful that the courts are things that we can rely on when we can't rely on our provincial government.
Today, a spokesperson for the Minister of Health defends the decision to close sites near schools and daycares, highlighting concerns around harassment and dirty needles. Enough is enough, she writes, saying the government's taking action to protect children and their families while taking the next step to create a system of care that prioritizes community safety, treatment, and recovery by investing $378 million to create heart hubs. Those heart hubs are supposed to be up and running before the supervised consumption sites close at the end of March. The lawyers on this case insist they will get a court date before then. They may also ask for an injunction to pause any closures. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
With about a month left until the end of the shipping season, officials with the Port of Thunder Bay say it's shaping up to be their busiest year since the late 1990s.
The port released its November cargo statistics yesterday, which once again topped 1 million metric tons. Jessica Clement has the details.
The Port of Thunder Bay is reporting very strong monthly and year-to-date volumes of grain, potash, and general cargo. There was a 50% rise in potash shipped from the port last month, compared to November of last year. Port CEO Chris Heikkinen says the 2024 potash volumes are the strongest the port's seen in over 40 years.
We're the only potash export port on the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Seaway system, so all the potash coming from the west into the system comes through Thunder Bay, and the last few years have seen increases on that commodity, and it's the same this year.
Heikkinen notes grain volumes also held strong during November, following significant gains in September and October, leaving the year-to-date total shipments more than 800,000 tons higher than the 2023 season. He says overall they're on pace to top 10 million tons this year, and the final number could make this the best shipping season in over 25 years.
The most recent year that we sort of are comparing to was 2020, when there was a lot of sort of panic buying of grain around the world, and that really increased the volumes in Thunder Bay. We're expecting to exceed that, the 2020 volume, unless something significant happens between now and the end of the season, which I'm not expecting.
The strong season was also reflected in the number of ships visiting Thunder Bay, with 432 coming into port by the end of last month. Fertilizer shipments at Kiefer Terminal also contributed to the high cargo volume. Heikkinen says it's great to see not just increases, but also diversity in the cargo shipments.
Every ton, naturally means more work for local people working in the port terminals. And so it's our objective always to try and increase and diversify the marine cargoes coming through the port. And right now we're having some success. And that means more dollars for our local economy and more work for people working in the port.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Delico Anishinaabeg Family Care will be able to deliver more than 800 gifts to children and youth across the Thunder Bay District this holiday season, thanks to its annual Christmas Wish campaign. Hundreds of bags were filled by community members and will soon be delivered to children across the district, including 13 First Nation communities. Each bag is personalized and filled with items the children wished for, including warm coats, toys, books, or something to fuel their creativity. Over the past 16 years, the Christmas Wish campaign has provided over 9,000 gifts to kids across the region. Delico's Blythe Haynen says she's always blown away by how much the community gives.
We are absolutely thrilled. It's just so overwhelming to be in a room with this many wishes. We know every one of these bags is for a child that could really use a Christmas wish. We really have to thank the community. They're the ones that step up every year, and our sponsors that made this happen. It's because the community shared in the spirit of giving is that we had another successful campaign.
Hammersholt drama students are presenting the Addams Family musical this week to younger students and the general public. The play was performed for elementary students this morning. It's a playful adaptation of the classic TV show with themes of love, family, and embracing people's differences. Teenager Wednesday Addams is played by Sydney Rawlick. The character falls in love with a normal boy and invites him and his parents for dinner in the Addams family home. The usual oddball antics ensue as the family tries to interact with the boy's more traditional family. Director Kim Boncori says high school plays help develop local talent.
I'm just so incredibly proud of this group of students who have come together in so many ways. Students who have volunteered their time, who aren't even in the drama class, have put in countless hours to bring this project to fruition, and I just couldn't be more proud.
It's one of my favorite shows that I've ever done. It's a really fun character to play. And the show is just so, it's supposed to be dark, but it's very comedic too. It's a great show to come watch if you want to laugh. And the cast is great. I've never seen a cast for a school show get this close before. And Miss B did an amazing job directing this show.
The public showings are tonight and tomorrow night at Hammersholt at 7 o'clock. Tickets are $15 and can be purchased at the door.
I love to see high school students on stage.
Absolutely.
A lot of talent in this city and
Yeah.
a lot of good young actors. All right, let's turn our attention to the weather now. Haley, we can see there behind you some light snow today, and light snow we can take. We don't necessarily want more of what we saw yesterday.
Right. Today, I would say, is not a day that the Addams family would like, because I was smiling out the wazoo here because the snow is light and the sun was out for a little bit as well. To wake up this morning and see sunshine instead of gray clouds, ooh, now you can see where the energy's coming from here, folks. I am jazzed. I feel like I'm sun-powered because as soon as we saw a little bit of sun, that's when a lot of us felt that boost. And winds weren't too bad today either. When it switched to the northwest, it got a little gustier at times, but not breaking the 30-kilometer-an-hour mark during the day. So not too bad. A little light snow this afternoon around 2 o'clock. But once again, it's not blowing in our face, and the road crews have been doing a good job cleaning up. So I take today as a positive. Now, our high for today, -7, is technically cooler than seasonal. A seasonal high is -5, but once again, with that sunshine, I'm not complaining. And our overnight low is -15, and really that is seasonal, so not too bad overall. Now, there's something to be grateful for in a lot of areas of the region today. We are still seeing a lot of light snow across the board, but winds were relatively calm, which was nice to see. In areas to the northwest, we're fairly consistent. Light snow, temperatures hovering -14 to -11 for a lot of areas. Now, wind chills in the northwest were a little colder at times. Coldest wind chills for areas like Red Lake were -21. So once you get into the -20s, you're definitely feeling it, but that's overnight for the most part. -12 in Red Lake and Sioux Lookout now. And actually, Kenora and Sioux Lookout, they didn't hover much at all. -11, -12 was pretty steady for them. Areas like Fort Francis and Atikokan, they were fairly consistent around -10, -9 for most of the day as well. And Armstrong's where you start to see some cooler temperatures for sure. It was -17 this morning, feeling like -25 with the wind chill. They warmed up to -12 earlier in the day, but now they're back to -17 again. -13 in both Greenstone and Marathon. Those areas did get a little bit of break as well. They saw some sunshine mixed with clouds in the morning, and then a little bit of light snow now in the afternoon and evening. Now for Wawa, they're at -8, so not too bad there. Once again, winds not too gusty, just some light snow. And Sault Ste. Marie has had some light snow and a little bit of freezing drizzle as well. They're -3 right now. They've been hovering around the freezing mark as well. Now for tonight in Thunder Bay, we're going to go to -12, feeling like -17, so above seasonal for our overnight low. We are currently sitting at a 40% chance of flurries. That'll increase overnight. Once we get past midnight, that's when we'll start to see a shift to more light snow. But once again, winds are light. It's the season. I've got my Christmas tree up. I'm feeling good. So we're going to continue on in our news hour, and later I'll come back with more positivity for you.
Okay, I like
well,
that.
yeah,
This is what you need.
We can't wait. Yeah, I need
Hear
to bottle
snow.
some of that energy.
Yeah,
I
I was
think.
just going to say, here's snow, and then he needs that positiveness towards him.
I'm not feeling the winter and the snow right now.
We'll get you there.
Thank you. Yeah, one of these days. All right, when we return, we'll delve into a new social media post from U.S. President-elect Donald Trump that's making waves in this country. Trump referred to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as the governor of the great state of Canada. Now, some insist that Trump is joking. Others are still waiting for the punchline. We'll have more on that after the break.
So I know that they know how important we are to them for lots of reasons.